So we have a lot of brand new information to share in today's update. So hey everyone, how's it going today? And welcome back to another update. So the big thing that we're going to talk about in today's update is that there is a new program that is being introduced in order to provide $250 monthly stimulus checks. On top of that is, I really want to take maybe a little bit of a trip now through memory lane to talk a little bit about the child tax credit, because it has been a little bit of a while and essentially a lot of things that are just focused on younger individuals, or just simply put, even older individuals with kids or that know people that are younger individuals. Now, a huge maybe heads up is that the $250 monthly stimulus program, it is something that is going to apply to a very targeted group of people only. However, with that being said, is that it is something that's going to apply to all 50 states. So regardless of what state, maybe this is something that can either help you out, or if anything, maybe just someone that we know that we can maybe pass and share this information on to. So with that being said, we're gonna get started, but as always, the same exact drill. Who knows how many times we've said this, but remember to smash the like button if you guys hopefully enjoy videos like this. Consider subscribing and hitting the bell. And as always, feel free to comment any questions, personal thoughts, or really honestly just anything. It is always really great to see new and familiar faces. So with that being said, let's get this video started right on the spot. So we're going to start by talking a little bit about the child tax credit, just because it has been a while. So the big update to what's been going on over there is that the great news is that it is still very much on the table. It is a very, very subtly talked about program right now at this time, but at least it's still there. In terms of what's been going on in Congress, the story right now is that, as you guys know, is that Joe Manchin is currently debating with a lot of the other politicians. The not so good news is that Joe Manchin is not actually in support of doing the child tax credit, and he's a very important figure in trying to get this through. But the great news, however, is that Mitt Romney is actually in support of the child tax credit, which is very, very interesting, because now you have a Democrat who normally most people, again, objectively speaking, do support such a program, but then you have one that doesn't. But now you also have a Republican, and who many people typically do not necessarily, again, objectively speaking, do not necessarily support social programs, because there are actually some that actually do. For example, Trump did approve a couple programs, objectively speaking, and Mitt Romney happens to kind of be the Joe Manchin of the Republican Party that actually does. So why this is relevant is because one of the biggest focuses is that there is a lot of consideration, and this isn't just about child tax credit, it's actually even about any social program. Stimulus checks, aid, foreign money, money to go out to the people, to seniors, to younger individuals, to unemployed, everything related to that world. So the big idea is that it's very interesting, because we do have someone on the other side, Mitt Romney, who does support a lot of these programs. So the big idea really is that what they're really considering doing right now as a plan is to maybe try to get Mitt Romney to maybe vote in favor of them. So why this could potentially be really, really nice is that if they're able to maybe now change plans and get someone else onto their side, they may not even need Joe Manchin, because they might be able to fulfill the 50 votes they need. Of course, the biggest time sensitivity of urgency that they really have to focus is that they have to do this before the elections, because they do not know if they're going to be able to win the elections again. And if something were to change inside of Congress, let's say a power flip, then it is going to be very, very difficult now. We're not even going to be talking about stimulus checks, but just any bill, any law, any program, financial, social, anything in that world, it is going to be difficult. And probably the most perfect way to really understand what it was like is maybe what happened with the second stimulus check. If you guys remember, when we used to announce, hey everyone, welcome back to another second stimulus, maybe comment if you remember that. But that's really the story right there. There is one politician that recently came out, Michael Bennet. He is a senator in Colorado, and he is someone that's very behind the scenes, that has been trying to fight for the child tax credit for many years and years now, even before the pandemic. So like for years, even before all of this happened. And he is someone that is now becoming more vocal about trying to be able to support this program. The other big thing is that there's also a lot of just families, so not even now with the government, but just the people in general, that are now also trying to maybe revolt or have their voices heard. For example, by a group of people that recently were trying to shut down childcare providers. So everything in that world, this is basically just programs, or not even programs, but just services and things that are just meant to just be for families and for kids and people. This is something that even the people are now starting to revolt against. Of course, this is something we just have to see what ends up happening, but it is still relatively recent news if you're watching this in May of 2022, and very likely even in June of 2022 as well. Now, when it comes to this brand new bill that, we want to talk about that applies to all 50 states, so the story is that there is a brand new idea or proposal that was just proposed, as the word suggests, that is hoping to try to provide $250 monthly stimulus checks. However, this program, admittedly, is actually a relatively focused program because it is actually meant to really apply to mostly kids and newborn babies. So what this is essentially is that if you are someone that is about to have a child, indirectly, it is actually kind of a fusion of the child tax credit and then the regular fourth stimulus check, because at the end of the day, this has to deal with putting money inside of our pockets, and that is really the core of everything that we really talk about, because again, that's what's the most important thing. So what this is that essentially the background story to this particular program is that it's really meant to deal with a lot of the increased prices when it comes to inflation, and also a lot of the food shortages that we currently see, because depending on, I guess, the baby or the child, many babies or kids happen to either eat a lot of food, or certainly at the very least, it increases the expense of someone living in a particular household, because kids can be very, 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 very expensive. And so how this program essentially works is that it's meant to provide a $250 monthly stimulus check to anyone that essentially either just gave birth or has new children, or just basically young kids in general. So kind of, again, going back, acting as the stimulus. Why this program is really what it is that because, and how does this basically apply to everyone else? Because, for example, I don't have kids, so I totally feel a lot of people out there. What it is that it's also really helping to essentially provide money so people can pay for things such as like groceries. Because as you guys know right now, one of the biggest stories is that we are starting to see a lot of prices go up. Feel free to share any stories in your state. I can tell you certainly is that when I look at my bank statement every single month now, I'm noticing how I look at the food that we purchase and I think about how I remember that food did not cost that particular price, but now food has basically gone up. Something that used to cost $20 to eat at a typical dinner has now bumped up to $30, and I'm actually trying to absorb that in. So this bill, what it is that it's going to provide money for families to basically give them an option and way to ease up and be able to now pay for things like groceries, food, or just, it's not just exclusive to that, but just whatever they want. It's just that food happens to be one of the biggest necessities that nobody can really avoid because we need it to get through. So for a lot of us, how this relates is that it's going to potentially impact a lot of the prices that we see in groceries. Maybe it will hopefully control it because, again, for us, even if we do get a stimulus check, which hopefully we do, but if all of the prices go up, then it means that the value of it only is going to go so far because we can only buy so many things. This is even more true because of a food shortage thing that's going on. As some of you guys may or may not know, we are seeing disruptions right now in our supply chain. So it's also physically difficult to move the product into grocery stores. So how this relates is just basic economics. If you have less of a certain something, then that particular something becomes very, very rare. And because of that reason, more people will be fighting for this small group of something. So as a result, the prices, or certainly the value of that, is going to go up. And that's something that's going to potentially impact us. Essentially, just the cost of the things we pay for. That's basically the summary of it. But of course, with all of these programs that thankfully, and I guess it's actually really great news that we are now starting to see on the table, we just now have to see what actually physically goes on and happens at the end of the day, especially because we do have a timeline to work with, which is basically until they start campaigning for the midterm elections. But of course, until then, we'll have to see what goes on. So with that being said, if you guys made it this far, huge thanks for making it all the way through. Maybe consider smashing the like button if you guys haven't done so already. Consider subscribing and hitting the bell. And as always, feel free to comment any questions, personal thoughts about anything. And with that being said, thank you guys so much, as always, for watching all the way through if you guys did. Stay safe, stay well, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.